You talk Pac-12 and that conference really going away after over 100 years. But I look back at the Southwest Conference. 1995, Arkansas is poached by the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma and the SEC kind of start the ball rolling here. While people are pointing fingers at the Big Ten and at the Big 12, does it feel like sitting there behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons, calling all the shots is really the SEC?
Yeah, and I mean, if you're the Pac-12, like, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Like, if you look at how much money they've invested, I believe the last time I checked, they had put the least amount of money into, their respective schools. So it's like, hey, show me it matters to you. And showing me it matters is putting, money where it's supposed to go. So I hate to say it just means more for the SEC, but I mean, we've seen what they've done on the field and we've seen how much they've put into their respective football programs, and they've been able to reap the benefits.
You've got the on-3 JD, right? Then there's the JD who grew up a USC fan and was going to those games on Saturdays. Tell me, from a fan standpoint, is this ruining your fan experience? Right? You talk about Saturdays come around, and you forget about it a little bit. It's cool, but when USC plays Northwestern, does it still feel all cool and dandy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, going to USC games as a kid, like, that was the main show in town. And I mean, how does it feel? I think it depends on what you're a fan of. Like, if you're a fan of USC playing Oregon State, well, yeah, you may not get that rivalry, if you want to call it that. You may not get that matchup year in and year out. But if you're a fan of just seeing USC football do great things, like I know a lot of people obviously are, the reason they went to the Big Ten is they had a good price tag attached to them they were going to bring to the table. Yeah, I mean, I think there is probably a weird part of it that sits with you of like, oh, man, you're kind of closing one chapter and moving on to the next. But I mean, if you're a fan of Cal or if you're a fan of Stanford or Oregon State, like, you probably have a lot of mixed emotions and questions for what the future holds for you and where you're going to end up. So yeah, young JD that went to USC games is excited for where USC is headed, but also I'm sure a part of him is frustrated that he's not going to get USC Washington State and USC Oregon State. That I have a lot of family that went to Oregon State, and that trash talk, I'm sure, will severely die down between them and the good people in Southern California.